also happening today? Some confusion and maybe some anger around a new presidential digital coin that was launched over the weekend. 2 days before the inauguration, Trump's team launched a crypto token called the Trump coin. Because, of course, it's basically a digital coin that you can buy and sell. It soared in value when it came out. And then the incoming president launched another coin, this one named after his wife, Melania. Then both Trump and Melania coins sold off, and people who bought near the top got hammered. The entire spectacle generating a lot of hot takes in the crypto space, with some suggesting maybe this is a good thing, right? Because Trump is finally fully in on the crypto game. Others saying, no, this is a surprise and an amateur move that can give a bad name to all things crypto, and then it makes the sector look like a big grift. Then there's also concerns about who may be making money off this. Trump tokens, Kelly, about 80% went to insiders, 10% going to the public, the other 10% kind of floating around for liquidity purposes. And according to crypto data platform Meteora, this token has brought in millions of dollars in just fees since launching. All right, let's talk more about all of this. Joining us now is Anthony Pompliano, professional capital management founder, CEO, crypto guy, great guy, and former last call guest. Anthony, well, good to see you back on. What do you make of this Trump and Melania coin?
Yeah, guys, thanks so much for having me. Look, we can spend hours talking about all the nuances and complexity here. I think on one hand, we shouldn't be surprised. There's been tons of celebrities and other large brands that have launched these meme coins. And so the president of the United States and Trump are two of the biggest brands in the world. On the other hand, there's a lot of questions about what are they going to do? Who's going to actually make this money? Are there conflicts of interest? And so I think that both of those points are very valid. But, one of the things that I've heard online that I think actually is inaccurate is there's tons of people who've been saying, oh, look at the crazy crypto people. Look at how insane they are to be putting their money into this thing. And I just want to remind people that also in the traditional market, the regular stock investors are valuing, DJT at about $7 billion market cap on $4 million of revenue. And so maybe it's actually just Trump as an outlier and his companies or assets or products or services that he's associated with tend to, overperform from a financial perspective more so than any one form factor, whether it's a stock, a meme coin, or anything else.
Anthony, explain it for me real slow, like I'm 5. What are these coins? What are they?
Yeah, the best way that I could think about this is if you think of Berkshire Hathaway, Berkshire is a lot of a good business and a little bit of a meme, right? If you think of Tesla, it's like 50%
Anthony,
good business.
I love you, but I'm going to stop you there. I don't want an analogy to Berkshire Hathaway. I want to, you can analogize it to Bitcoin if you want. I sort of understand that. What are these coins?
Yeah, well, the reason why I start with Berkshire is because Tesla is the next kind of in the step, right? Tesla's about 50% good company, 50% meme. DJT is like 80 or 90% meme, 10% good company.
I see.
And then the final form of this kind of transition is ultimately people just launch the meme and there is no company, right? And I think that this is actually a progression over the last 50 years or so.
But is it a protocol?
And so you can,
Anthony, I'm trying to understand, tell me from a technological point of view, what are these? Remember the ICO boom? And Trump himself was against that. This was back in 2016, 2017, something like that. So those were initial coin offerings, for instance. Now we've had different kinds, there's stable coins, there's different kinds of protocols, there's different kinds of blockchains. So again, what is this? What are these?
Think of this as a branded coin that are all the same. So if you think about trading cards, obviously there was baseball cards. Then there were these kind of branded trading cards that were digital. Trump actually has launched some of those, and many other brands or companies and celebrities have done them as well. But now what we're seeing is people saying, well, you don't even need uniqueness between the different coins. It is just a asset that is put out there. Now, I should say that, I'm not necessarily condoning this. I didn't necessarily buy it. I don't hold either one of these tokens. But I do think that it's important to pay attention to this, because ultimately what we're seeing the collision of the digital world with brands and a new financialization. And so this financialization, obviously Bitcoin is kind of a digital version of gold. We have seen now open source projects that have started to launch coins and figure out a new way for them to monetize what otherwise was a non-monetizing activity. And now what you're going to see is brands and celebrities do the same thing. The real question is, what does the market ultimately think about the long-term value here, right? And I think that that's the big question is, if it is just a token that has no business, has no revenue, I think that investors should be cautious and figure out out, hey, what is the value over the long run?
And that's kind of the point about what I think, and I don't want to speak for you, Kelly, whatsoever, which is, what is it? What backs it, right? And I guess it's just the same idea as Bitcoin. The idea there's 21 million. Of course, a lot have been lost, so it's not 21 million. You get my point. The whole thing is sort of built on scarcity, and it's got some real value because of that scarcity alone, like a Picasso painting or something, right? There just won't be any more of those things. But, you follow all the hot takes. You look at like Dave Portnoy over the weekend, right? And Dave's like, what's this Trump coin? How is it different than a Ponzi scheme? And then he buys Melania, loses some money, right? And he's widely followed and listened. And he's making, by the way, I think, whatever you think of Dave Portnoy, really good points. Like, what is this thing?
Yeah. I mean, look, I do think that there's an element of who's also buying it, right? Obviously institutions and large financial organizations are now buying Bitcoin. I think the Bitcoin is the king of the crypto world, will remain the king of the crypto world, and that's going to be the asset that is accepted in the institutional world. The meme coins are really kind of a retail phenomenon online. Dogecoin is like a $60 or $70 billion asset, I think. It's just a joke. There is no business. There is no cash flow. And so is the market being irrational, or somehow has the internet started to ascribe value to a joke? I don't know. Again, I'm not buying this stuff, but I do think that Trump has this massive brand. If he's able to sell watches, if he's able to sell sneakers, if he's able to sell NFTs, we shouldn't be surprised that he's also able to sell a meme coin, right? And so I do think that the long-term viability of this is what people should be paying attention to. And frankly, we don't know yet, right? It's only been around for 3 days. It's sitting at a $30 billion market cap, which is much higher than anyone thought that it would go originally.
I'm just reading through here a Bitcoin.com explainer of potential legal concerns around a meme coin. And it says, of course, everyone's quoting everybody else on this. A key question is whether it qualifies as a security under U.S. law. This is what I bring up again, because we've been having this debate for a decade, okay? Does it, if it's a cryptocurrency issued through an ICO, it meets the Howey test? Maybe, but it says it's not a security and has not promised future profits. And the SEC has yet to begin issuing specific guidance on meme coins. So I guess he would know better than anyone what his SEC might end up issuing on that front.
Well, look, I don't want to bore the audience with all the legalese, but I do think that, Bitcoin very clearly has been deemed not a security. I think there's a question about a lot of these protocols that have launched coins, but there's a business, there's a product. They're trying to generate revenue. They're trying to, drive the price of the token. And how will that be treated? These meme coins are somewhat of an industry response to, really say, hey, what are the rules and what is the kind of the loophole? And a lot of times what they'll do is they'll launch these coins and they say, well, we don't have a product. We don't have a service. We actually are going to what they do, a fair distribution. Anyone can come and buy it, and the team doesn't hold any. And so far, what lawyers have said is that kind of avoids a lot of the securities questions. Now, in this case in particular, 80% of the token is still being held by the team. There's a 3-year vesting period. And so the question is, well, if the team is holding on to some of it, how does that get treated?
Yeah, and who's the team? Who's the team? And there were people out there like Adam Kobasi and others posting that some of the websites that built these coins were created or at least registered like 24 hours before the coins were launched. You got to say, Anthony, and I think I got your point about Berkshire, by the way. You're kind of saying there was a Warren Buffett put on the stock because it's Warren Buffett. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
It's a compliment. He's the GOAT.
That's what I'm saying. It's kind of a meme, like he adds value to Berkshire Hathaway stock because of who he is. But that said, you got to admit, some of this is not a great look for crypto.
Oh, look, I definitely think that there is a concern among many people in the crypto industry that, Bitcoin is kind of the king. Bitcoin is the main story. There's talk of a strategic Bitcoin reserve. A lot of energy, time, money, et cetera, has gone into, really pushing that forward. And so some of these other projects are definitely either distracting or taking away from that. On the same hand, look, Trump's net worth, even though it may be illiquid, like 80% of it from the last estimate I saw is now in crypto. And so there's also an argument that if Trump has 80% of his net worth in crypto, he's going to pay a lot more attention to the industry, and naturally Bitcoin will benefit alongside some of these other things. I don't want to sit here and speculate as to what percentages, et cetera, but I do think that it is very clear we now have somebody as president of the United States that is paying attention to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and that should probably serve as a tailwind for the industry overall during his administration.
Anthony, thank you as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, guys.